All right. Welcome, everyone, to episode 11. So episode 11, right?
Nailed it, yeah.
Yeah, the Think Deals podcast. It's amazing that people are still out there listening to us, huh?
We say that every time.
I know, I feel like our audience either just grows or it gets smaller or it's just balancing somewhere in between.
It's got to be one or the other, right?
Well, it's obviously growing.
I didn't tell you to speak yet. I
We discussed this, yeah.
Speaking.
Do you want to introduce the guest today?
I want to introduce myself first. I'm Max, as everyone knows. Superstar real estate agent to the stars. One and only, unique individual, motocross racer, fighter, entrepreneur extraordinaire. Joined here with my partner and co-founder, Brandon.
Thank you, sir.
He's a lender.
Yeah, sums it up. Yeah, forget this guy. But anyway, let's talk about our guest, Mr. Motocross Extraordinaire.
This is this guy. This is one GLD. Good looking dude.
I appreciate that.
Got to be at least, 5'6", 5'7"?
Yeah, somewhere around there, But, yeah. No, I'm Cameron Steijn. I'm also a real estate agent.
Okay.
Been grinding.
I love how I asked him to introduce you twice, and then you had to introduce yourself. Yeah.
I was waiting. You have to time these things. So you're a real estate agent. So how'd you learn real estate? You grind, you hustle. How'd you learn all those tips and tricks?
So I went to
Wait
school.
for it. I'm queuing it up.
I was at Cal State Fullerton. That's where I graduated with marketing and advertising degree.
Nice.
And in my last year, I did an internship with this decent realtor named Max Lindenberger. Back when he used to do a lot more business.
Oh.
But yeah,
We all used to do a lot more business.
The kick in the dick right there.
but no, I honestly learned a lot from Max. Continue to learn a lot, and every lender I talk to, I learn a lot from too. So I'm excited to be on here.
That's good. We have an exciting episode for you. I want to talk about a few things. We generally like to keep things real estate related, but some of our viewers have wanted some more humor, so we want to talk about a few things that might make people laugh before we actually get into some things that actually might change people's lives, like real estate and investing. So, Cam, you can answer this. A lot of life is about suffering, right? I think suffering builds not only resilience, but it builds character, it builds, your work ethic, it builds your drive, all those things that make you successful, like, Brandon and I, and what you will eventually become when you grow up. So,
Suffering.
With that being said...
I explained to this guy the definition of suffering. And
He just had to repeat it for you.
With that said, Max loves suffering so much that this morning we had to stop to get gas.
Yep,
And,
in a car.
And Brandon, I'm really interested to see your reaction. You know Max's car, RS26, right?
It's a 2023 Audi RS6 in Phantom Blue.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like $160,000.
Spare
it's
no
a
expense.
nice car.
It's not the point.
Price point doesn't matter, but he puts 87 in it. Yeah. So to treat, the nice things you have in life, you treat them well, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that. Now,
that's
we don't have to wonder why he's single, right?
Okay, first and foremost, I do a lot of research. I read a lot of articles. I've been told that there's no difference truly between 91 octane and 87 octane.
So when you drove Lamborghini Urus, you put 87 in it, right?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
And when you drove a McLaren, what happened?
I plead the fifth.
Yeah.
I mean, the car started.
I'm glad you're really leaning into suffering, but there's certain things
you don't have to cause the suffering.
Inanimate objects don't need to suffer.
Yeah. Let's just say I don't even put 87 in my Jeep.
Because your Jeep's electric.
Hybrid
electric, same thing. Jesus. So with that being said, yes, it was a stupid move. I should have.
Hey, stand by where you're at.
I should have put 91 in it. I may have just had a blonde moment. I don't know. What I was looking at the gas station, I thought was 91, but it was 87. Nonetheless. So we're on our way here, and I wanted to ask Cam this. Do you think it makes you more of a stronger individual if you're a grown man and you're driving a minivan? You have kids, Brandon. Would you drive a minivan?
I have a kid.
You have a kid. Would you drive a minivan over your kid?
No, I would never drive a minivan.
Okay.
No offense to any minivan owners out there, but no.
But so
Max's
question.
Again, I have one kid. If I had 6.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm not gonna have
Max's
6.
original question was that does driving a minivan lower a man's testosterone? And I actually had the devil's advocate, which was pretty correct, to be honest. Once I said it, I'm like, I know a guy that's a World Series winner, member at a golf club, hits the ball a mile. His pension played 13 years in the MLB. His pension's got to be, high six figures, and he drives a minivan, and that's because he's completely comfortable with who he is, and he's still jacked in shape.
Yeah.
I think knowing that you are driving a minivan to be able to have that much self-confidence.
True.
Whereas when you know you need a nice car to aid your personality, it's like
Anyone see that?
I definitely saw that.
I think it's the Indian, not the arrow, right? The old saying. It doesn't really matter.
It's the Indian, not the arrow.
And then I also went into how
He's gonna trade that Audi in right now.
I can feel it
when you
coming.
think about it, a Lamborghini might decrease your testosterone, right? Because
Ooh, I don't know. Have you ever heard one?
Yeah, I have. No. I love nice cars. Don't get me wrong. But life's too good in a Lamborghini, right? If you suffer a little bit and you're in a car that you don't like, that aggression, is that not going to come back to you as
I don't know.
testosterone? Or is it just going to make you...
Give me a Lamborghini and I'll let you know how it
Yeah,
goes.
exactly. Max
I can see your mentality, your thought process on that. I think that it might drive you to want to work harder or strive to maintain the car. But I also think that buying an expensive car will motivate you to continue to work hard to continue to pay for the car.
For sure.
So I think it's kind of a double-edged sword. But I know, all bullshit jokes aside, there's a reason that we're alluding down this road. We wanted to kind of raise the topic in real estate. If you're an individual looking, let's say you're looking to buy or sell a house, which is obviously what you do in real estate, right? Would you be more inclined to work with an attractive female agent or an attractive in-shape male agent? And this is a question to both of you. So Brandon, I want to start with you because you've been in the business longer, obviously as a lender, and then we'll talk to Cam. So what are your thoughts on this? If you don't know anything about the industry and you're just a buyer or seller.
Wipe my brain clean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
What kind of...
I have to pick one.
It's who you get along with best. Is that what
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
for me personally, I guess it would go off of the first meeting.
But do you think that anything like sex sells has anything to do with real estate?
For certain people, for sure.
Do you think if I was a female and I was wearing high heels and a low-cut dress or something like that, would you be more...
You'd be hideous.
Wanting to work with me as opposed to if I was just an in-shape individual, as a guy?
I mean, I was just in Thailand, and if Max was in high heels and a dress, he still would do business.
Yeah.
I'm not saying for myself. Put that on the record. But you see some
If you have to
questionable,
clarify.
some questionable individuals out
So
there.
one tally
Yeah.
mark on the board for Brandon wants to work with a guy.
Sure.
That's basically what you're trying to tell me.
It doesn't really matter to me.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Cam, what about you? Same question.
I think there's a very famous realtor and broker now, Rainey Williams, said that if you can wear it to the club, you shouldn't wear it to the office. So I think that goes for men and women. And granted, men are going to dress a little bit less provocative naturally, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
But also if you accentuating your figure as a woman gets you more clients without being more promiscuous, do whatever you need to do. But in my opinion, I'm going to look for a professional. I'm not going to look for somebody that just is acting the part. I'm going to look for a professional that knows what they're talking about, like what Brandon said.
Yeah.
First meeting, if they can talk and if they can really find what I'm looking for, that's what matters.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I'm sure if we brought in a very attractive realtor and asked her if she gets more business because you think her looks may help her,
Yeah.
there's probably people out there that go, and it goes both ways,
Yeah.
but it could be, someone has the same hobby as you, or someone has, similar upbringing, and you go with them, whether they're qualified or not,
Yeah.
like if you just met some motocross guy and
Yeah.
he knew nothing about your real estate business, but you guys just became buddies over motocross and you found out you're a realtor. He's like, oh, I'm going to use you,
I believe And, and I think the other reason why I wanted to ask that question is because there's so many individuals that are watching all of these real estate shows selling Sunset and selling OC and this,
Well,
that.
that highlights it, right?
That's why I want to
a good
know
point.
from a
Yeah,
professional standpoint, because I'm sure there's viewers out there that are looking at, these women that are, plastic surgery to the nines and they're ex-models and they're this, that, and the other, and they somehow just graduated their way into real estate. And it's like, is that individual really qualified to give you any sort of, sometimes financial advice in regards to your future? What are their qualifications? And so I always wonder, because I've been, around some of the people in that industry that are in, Hollywood Hills, things like that. And I've come across them and I've had some very interesting conversations where I kind of second guess them. Like, how do you not know like what a standard residential purchase agreement is?
How
So, like,
are you selling homes that are millions of dollars?
Like a buy contract. I'm like, what is a buy contract? It's a $30 million house we're standing. What the hell is a buy contract? And then it's like, but the guy, the guy buying the house is just so blown away by the beauty that he doesn't care.
And she may be on TV or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, I think at that price point, though, once it starts to move into more luxury real estate, the buyer and the sellers are usually so financially intelligent that they're not going to pick someone that speaks poorly or someone that doesn't know what they're talking about, man or woman. It doesn't matter. They'll go with a 16-year-old kid that has his license that talks about knows everything, to the dime, instead of a good-looking guy or a good-looking.
But I mean, also more or less, it's out there to educate some of our listeners that are new buyers or new sellers, not to just jump out at the first website you come across online or the first, vlog or blog or whatever that you read that has some attractive person. Like, ooh, I'm going to work with them. Do your research. Send us a message. Work with the pros. That's what we're going with.
There you go.
Sure.
So, interesting topic. Nonetheless, the two main things that we wanted to focus on in this episode are there's a lot of discount brokerages out there. There's a lot of lead gens. There's a lot of promises, some false, some true, some up in the air, some questionable. And we wanted to kind of go over, obviously, Zillow is a powerhouse. Redfin is a powerhouse. I'd say those are the two, platforms for real estate that we want to focus on. And the two main things that I want to talk about, and myself having experience, you, Cam, now having experience as well, is what a Zillow Flex team is and a Zillow Premier agent, as opposed to the Redfin Next program, which is essentially their way of combating Zillow. So, Brandon, obviously you from the lender side, let's start with Zillow. I'll give a brief synopsis of what the Zillow Flex program is, right?
Yeah.
Zillow is the largest home, sourcing site, minus homes.com now, which after spending, I think it was $300 million during the Super Bowl.
It was more than that, yeah.
The Schitt's Creek guys now doing their freaking infomercials constantly, which are really cool, by the way. They're basically the giant.
They've done
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, they're trying to compete and be more of the agent's buddy.
Exactly, because
Zillow's
Transactional.
it's a home search site, right?
Yeah.
And the biggest flaw with Zillow from a real estate professional standpoint is they give you these things called Zestimates, which are algorithmic. What is the word? Algorithm-based bullshit is the way that I will phrase it.
Algorithmic.
Algorithmic, yeah. You can see I had a hard time passing algebra in high school. But
What does that have to do with your English?
And literature.
Yeah.
Liturgy.
Yeah, wrong word.
He read Huck Finn just fine.
Yeah.
So anyways, they have these platforms basically where we become these Zillow Flex agents. And essentially what happens is when you guys, you individuals, when you go on Zillow and you click book a tour, see a house, see it in person at this time.
It's crazy. And it doesn't even go to the agent that necessarily is listed on there.
Hell no.
It just goes to a Zillow agent.
Correct.
Or someone that paid for that lead.
Correct.
It goes to the first person that picks up the phone.
Well, that's
Yeah.
where I'm going. The way that they set it up is you're basically an agent that is on call literally 24/7. And whenever someone calls you in your area, your phone rings and you pick it up. And they may say, hey, I'm 10 minutes down the street. You need to meet me at the property now and you need to see it. They're not pre-approved 90% of the time.
Yeah.
They are not vetted in the sense they could be a 16-year-old kid wanting to see a $30 million home they saw in Selling Sunset, or some Yahoo who says they own an island in Fiji, which your brother actually has personal experience in regards to that.
Awesome.
And they want to buy the property. So that is the Zillow program. So Brandon, from your perspective, have you worked with these types of Zillow Flex clients? Have you worked with these Zillow home buyers? And what are some of the situations you've run into? Good.
Yeah, I mean, all my experience with them is super hit and miss, and Zillow seems, at least on the realtor side, it seems like, like you said, it's not necessarily, you can have the listing agent's picture right there and they're like, contact the agent. It just goes to someone totally different.
Some
So
random.
it's like super deceptive,
It's a carnival.
Yeah, it's a carnival.
So
and then,
pulls business away from the listing agent,
yeah, if I was
in essence.
I'm not a listing agent, obviously, but, it would frustrate me.
So I hate Zillow because when I have a listing
Yeah.
and my
Yeah.
listing goes on Zillow, those calls should be going to me directly, not to Cam, who's going to come sell my property, and I'm going to lose half my commission to have
For
to
sure.
pay him to do a job I taught him to do.
You can also say that that house wouldn't get sold without that person taking their own initiative and finding it online because their deadbeat realtor doesn't know how to set up a drip feed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Which-
it's a double-edged sword. Zillow's definitely increased the volume and Redfin has definitely increased the volume of home sales just for the average purchaser. They're definitely looking more online, but at the same expense, Zillow just sells your information to brokerages.
Yeah.
And Max has had this. I've had this. Oh, this person looked at a couple $1 million homes. Make sure you give them a call. See if and they're like, oh, I just bought a house. I was just checking. It's like, oh, sweet, thanks.
Yeah,
for
I was just using the website.
So my brokerage paid however much money for that lead for me to call them, and it was fucking it wasn't
nothing.
anything.
So I've been on Zillow Flex teams. I was on the biggest original one, eHomes. Then I was on another one, Onyx teams. And you are currently on a Zillow Flex team.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously this is your, I'd say, second month in real estate that you've actively been, working since you got your license.
Independently.
What
Yeah.
experience
Independent,
as a new agent? You have an escrow. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I think I had a listing before I even got licensed. We'll explain that in another episode. But with that being said, what has your experience been? Have you had any conversations where you feel like you've learned, where you feel like you've gotten something progressive done, or has it all been a kick in the pants?
No, I think there's a positive to every negative in life. So even if everything was all negative when it came to Zillow, I would still be able to come out with something. But that's just me as an optimist.
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't there, your option is what?
And the thing is that's just me getting my name out there more, speaking to people, and and what you'll always do is you follow up and be like, oh, so you're renting, not looking to purchase? Okay, yeah. Do you have plans to buy in the future?
Yeah.
Set a reminder, follow up with them, whatever. But my initial experience, I have had good and bad, mixed, right? The escrow I actually have is through Zillow, but it is and it isn't really. So Zillow someone set up a tour in Coachella to buy like an investment property, and the agent just never showed up because they called an agent in Orange County to go show someone in Coachella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2 hours and 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
So the agent that originally got the call just ditched the person, right? Terrible. So that sucks.
Bad customer service,
That's
man.
bad customer service right there. And I saw the name and this and that, and then I saw the older couple, and I'm like, all right, well, older couple. Hopefully they're gonna be, and it looked more like an investment place as well. So I'm like, all right, my brain thinking like, okay, they might actually have the funds. They might be pre-approved.
Mm-hmm.
That's why. So I gave them a call. Turns out, of course they were pre-approved. Have homes all across the country. Never bought in California. And yeah, I called them on a Saturday. We entered escrow on a Wednesday, and that was during all the torrential downpour. So I actually never went out there as well.
Wow.
Have you ever met this client in person?
No, but I've had hours of talk time
He
over
did
the
the work,
phone,
yeah.
and I built the rapport.
Yeah.
And he's a great guy. We get along great.
Yeah. Because you're a professional.
Yeah, I was taught well by my brother, who's obviously not here, and Max.
Who taught your brother, by the way?
I've been around real. I think my grandmother, who's a real estate agent.
I just wanted to make sure.
In Laguna Beach.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
so
good.
and of course Kai learned under Max as well, but. But the thing is we can't boost this guy's ego too much.
No, it's already up
or
there.
else he'll just stop working. like he could have
stop working.
He could have $5.
My job here is
account.
done.
He could have $5 in his account, and if he goes to Starbucks or this and that, and people give him compliments, there's no. He needs negative feedback to drive him.
That's the only way to stay alive. I don't wake up every day and I'm like, God damn it, I just want to put my head through a wall and cry. It's not worth getting up.
But back to my experience on Zillow, like this guy, him and I have done really well together, but that's also because we're like-minded individuals. Yeah. I vetted him before I called him. I Googled him before I called him.
Smart.
I didn't just take a 5-second, there's no way I'm picking up that phone call if I'm on a Zillow Flex team and it says Coachella. There's no, and I live in Orange County. I'm just not doing it.
What are you going to say? And then
also, if you don't pick that phone call up, or if you do and then you realize it's Coachella and you hang up, Zillow also gives you, minus scores because they give you report cards and whatnot.
It is.
So it's a double-edged sword.
It works. I mean, there are guys out there that love just driving around all day and they love, having something to do every single day, which, unfortunately in real estate, and I don't care what agent you are, there are going to be days where you're not busy. There are going to be days when, all your business is closed. You're just simply prospecting. You're not just driving around. You're not going from appointment to appointment. So I can see how people enjoy the process and how people like it. But, as Cam had mentioned, to piggyback off what he said, it's really creating, and we've said this a million times in all our episodes, really creating the relationship behind the deal and turning that into 10 deals or 5 deals or 20 deals or wherever it comes. So, kudos to you for picking up the phone and doing something, some sort of form of work that someone else wasn't willing to do.
Yeah.
Sure.
But the point we want to get across to everyone out there is, because we know all of you go on Zillow. When you go on Zillow and you see those buttons and they say schedule a tour, you never know who you're going to get.
Yeah.
So my advice is, consult with a single agent, myself, Cam, his brother, etc., and have us do the heavy lifting for you and schedule the appointments for you to ensure you remain in contact with one solitary individual. Because the last thing you want is to overcomplicate just seeing a damn house. It's not the end of the world. And also, you don't know who you're getting, right?
Yeah.
You might get someone who's only sold $200,000 homes and you want to see a $10 million home.
Yeah.
Or, you get someone like me who's done a decent amount of luxury and it's like, yes, I know the ins and outs of the transaction. Is it a 1031 exchange? Is there some caveat to that deal that, maybe someone who's never done something like that can't handle?
But
that's the risk you run when you go on Zillow.
So we've talked about, I think
anything.
we've talked about it enough when it comes to that point. But if you have a problem in life, you have to try and remedy it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, Brandon, what would you think the number one remedy to, instead of using Zillow agents if you're a buyer, just scheduling, and getting a random person picking up the phone, how would you have a buyer, if you're the buyer, how would it be easier to get in touch with a real estate agent?
I think most people, and maybe I could be wrong, maybe Zillow pulls in more business to their agents than word of mouth, but I think most people use a referral.
Yeah.
Whether it's someone in their, their sphere or family, friends. But
trusted, confident.
Yeah.
I think if you ask 5 of your friends, someone's going to have a realtor.
100%. Mm-hmm. Whether you had a good experience or bad, or,
here in Southern California, I think if you ask one of your friends, they'll know 5 realtors. So.
Or lenders, yeah.
Yeah.
Or lenders, same, yeah.
Yeah, so to tidy it up so we can move on to the whole Redfin thing, that's how Zillow makes their money. Some
Volume.
agents pay $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month for this advertising. And yes, it does work. Let's say you get 10 leads a month, you'll probably convert 1, right?
That's
maybe.
generous.
I believe there's
that's super generous.
There's like a 2 to 3% conversion rate, I think, when we were running analytics on it. I know when I was on the teams, I would get like 20 leads and I would convert
3%,
1.5 to 2 of them over the course of potentially 3 to 4 months. So, just be careful. All the new agents out there that think they want immediate business, be careful with these platforms. Yes, you will get immediate business, but at what cost? Are you going to spend $10,000 a month in gas money driving around?
Yeah, no, you will.
Because one thing we didn't, go over,
That's why
and
you use 87.
We'll save it for another episode, is there's hefty commission splits on these Zillow deals, right? Some of them are 50-50.
Zillow just changed it this year. They take 40% of any commission.
And then on top of that, there's a 50-50 split with your brokerage generally.
Yeah, because the brokerage.
So you're lucky if you're walking away with 30% of a 100% based commission check. So you really have to run the numbers and see what's advantageous. If you're doing, two $10 million deals every 60 days, that's a decent split, and you're not paying anything for it. But if you're doing $200,000 deals every 60 days, you're going to lose money.
Yeah.
So it all comes to what you're willing to do and what your expenses are.
I think a lot of real estate agents forget, I think people need to think more about their hourly wage too.
Yeah.
If you spend an entire year, let's say it's like 40 hours of talk time and showing time combined, if you're driving and whatnot for a client, what price point they buy at.
Yeah.
You need a significant price point for that to be over $15
Correct.
an hour.
Well, you keep it simple. I don't wash my own car for a reason.
Yeah.
It might take me an hour. Do I make more than paying $20 an hour to wash my car? Absolutely. So therefore, I'm not washing my car because my time is more valuable.
I'm surprised you wash your car, putting 87 in it. But yeah, no, it's
how much was that escrow that you put in, by the way?
People,
Just curious.
People forget. I mean,
I think my car might be more than
it's close to it. Yeah, it's close to it.
Yeah.
But as you said when I told you about the deal, hourly, what am I'm making more.
You
than
make more than a doctor an hour. I
Yeah.
explain these things to you. That's why you learn from the best.
Yeah, no, it's true. And we're always going to give each other a hard time, but that's and the day
Because
we
we like to suffer together.
the
It
day
makes
we-
suffering
no.
easier.
No, it's because the day we stop giving each other a hard time, it's probably because we're not friends.
That's true.
But
So moving on, no more Zillow talk.
No. But I do want to say one thing, and it's just that in life, you generally have a choice in a lot of aspects of life of quality over quantity.
Correct.
There are plenty of families that have 10 kids and wait for one of them to hit, right? One of them's going to be a millionaire. and then there are plenty of families.
That's a strategy.
I mean, that is a strategy. Look at it.
Great strategy.
Look at the birth rates.
Jesus.
And then there are definitely people that put in more time on one thing, raising one kid really well to do something, or just anything, especially in real estate. If you really grind hard to get your own leads, to get your own stuff, yeah, it's true. Your first couple of years you might not make a lot of money, but once you do start getting a lot of referrals, start doing great business and build a book of business, and you get those word of mouth referrals, and
you're
then
not splitting it with
you're
Zillow.
you're at a brokerage where, let's say you get a 90% split or an 80-20 even, and you get all that. That's a lot bigger of a check.
Yeah. No, I agree,
Your
man.
time's more valuable.
Yeah.
But,
So, great. Yeah. End of story. If you're going
End
to
of
use
story.
Zillow, use it. If you're not,
At your own risk.
call me.
Is Redfin really that different, or is it pretty much a similar model?
It's a similar model, but there's 2 or 3 huge differences. And I know this because they've been very, very aggressively pursuing real estate agents. They've sent me texts, emails, phone calls. Mainly they're all automated. And, I took one of them because I was just interested to see, let's see what one of the biggest guys is doing, right? So same type of deal. They have the leads, they generate the traffic, but the difference with their leads is, this is a cool thing that they do. Basically, you have like a calendar, and they will literally book showings for you, and they will put them in your calendar. And when you wake up and check your calendar, you have 5 meetings or 5 showings. It's not, you don't take
A little more autopilot.
Correct. You don't take a call. You don't really, pick up the phone like a Zillow Flex program. So we're like, hey, you meet Jeff, Jack, and Jim between 10, 11, and 12 in these different areas, right? So that's really cool. The other interesting factors are they pay for your health insurance, which, as 1099 independent contractors, that can be very costly.
Interesting.
Right?
yeah.
Another thing that they do is they make you a W-2 employee. So, for those of us who, have tax issues or have to deal with CPAs, you're going to run into this. Obviously,
Want to write
Brandon and I
things
run into
off.
this. W-2s, you don't have to do this anymore. So they take away that from you. Now, most agents that have some intellectually smart bone in their body, if you will,
Oh, boy.
realize...
Son.
Threw a lot in there, right?
Yeah.
Realize that being a 1099 employee has a substantial amount of perks as opposed to a W-2 employee.
Yeah.
So I would never want to be a W-2 employee ever again, ever since I've been a 1099 employee.
for sure.
Half the shit I buy and half the things, that I have are write-offs.
Do not self-incriminate.
Or
Do not
I'm not saying which things they are, I'm just saying. And this is all fictitious talk, obviously. None of this is true. Plead the fifth. Anyways, So, they offer the W-2 program. So let's say you make $20,000 a month in commissions, you may only get a check for $10,000. Because the thing is, you don't know what tax bracket they're putting you in, right? Are they putting you in a 50% tax bracket? Are they putting you in a 10% tax bracket? I'm assuming, and I didn't go into that far a detail with them about, but I'm assuming they wait until the end of the year and then they just put you in whatever bracket your earnings are.
Which is free.
So they have that. They have the free health care. They have the appointments that are set for you. And then the splits, I think, on like self-generated stuff, it was 70-30. And then when they give you their business, it's very similar to Zillow's splits where you basically...
Because they're like their own brokerage, essentially.
Correct.
So you're not... The Zillow isn't a brokerage. They're just a marketing platform. But they have mortgage too now.
Well, yeah, but the difference with Redfin is they're just
Yeah.
trying to basically streamline it to where you're an employee now.
Yeah.
You're no longer an independent contractor. They're basically trying to
And you're
streamline
not.
the industry.
You're not.
The crazy thing is those same people that are looking at homes on Redfin are probably also using Zillow.
Yeah, it's the same.
They are.
It's-
They are.
But where I'm going with this, and where I'm not saying I'm pleading with other agents, but I'm just like, take a step back and realize like what is happening, right, to the industry. If these big giants are coming out here and they're trying to basically stick us all in a little pot and make us all W-2, and because the money they take out of our taxes, how do you know they're not doing things with that, to grow the company? Where's the tax dollars?
Well,
going
it's
to?
just, yeah.
It's a deduction for them, meaning they pay less in taxes. So, and I'm not a CPA by any means, so nothing I'm saying could be true or false. I'm just going off of what I've learned and what I've understood from my, tax endeavors with my own CPAs. So it's very interesting. I think the healthcare thing is awesome. I think the appointments being booked for you is awesome. But I don't believe in the W-2 structure. And, it's
You're an employee of
employee.
them.
Oh, and they also don't do commercial. So like anything I would do, be doing commercial, they're like, we don't touch it for whatever liability issues, this, that, and the other. So they're pigeonholing you basically, and they're not allowing you to grow in essence. Which
is fine for some people, but
I mean, again, it could all be the same Zillow thing. I want to drive around all day. So
Yeah.
I'm curious. I mean, again, I'll start with you, Brandon. What do you think? I mean, it's Zillow, but just maybe on.
I'm in the same, a little different model. I'm in the same, camp as you. I mean, they're trying to make employees of realtors, which have typically been,
history,
independent contractors, sole proprietors. They're trying to make a company of realtors essentially and have them work for Redfin.
Yeah,
which is great. I mean, it's a cool model, but
It's a smart model.
It's gonna be the Loan Depot. No offense to Loan Depot. It's going to be the Loan Depot or something of the lending world where you go there to learn and maybe get the volume going and everything. And then once you have maybe that book of business or anything, you take off. And I don't know how they're, competing.
What do you think, big guy?
I think I've shared my opinion on Zillow and Redfin so far. It's like what we said, quality over quantity. How do you want to feel like you're busy, or do you want to actually be doing important things? Talking to important clients, or do you just want to open a door for someone as a Redfin agent and then they buy with their actual agent?
Yeah, because when you're getting your own referrals and stuff, you're getting like-minded people, you're getting people from your sphere, you're getting people that maybe connect with you. Yeah, so it's a whole different than just the transactional where they could take you to the finish line and just drop you if you haven't signed anything, or
on my
waste your time, kick tires.
On my follow-up boss through my brokerage, I've seen so many of my colleagues, other realtors that have literally showed a home from a Zillow lead, and then the person, and then they said, oh, so how'd you like it? Blah, blah, blah. After they showed it, like, do you want to put an offer in? And then just ghosted. And then they keep following up. They're doing their job as an agent. They're hustling. And then this, I literally read it yesterday. Someone said, "Oh, we actually bought that place with our private agent." And so technically in California, that's, if you're the agent that shows the home, you're the procuring cause. You have right to
you can take
50% of that commission.
Right.
However, because I've had this happen to me.
Yes.
All you have to do is go step 1 foot in the door of that house before you make the offer, and then now you're the procuring cause, and it basically gets rid of that. So that's how they circumvent that.
Okay.
I've had it happen to me where people have showed houses, and then they call me, I want to buy this, and the agent was this, that, and the other. They said, okay, let's go check it out. Walked over there, walked inside for 5 minutes, wrote the offer. You can't argue that.
And the key thing there, the unfortunate part there is that it's, I get it if it's a multi-million-dollar home. you might take it to court, the other agent, but if it's if it's $1 million or under, you're probably not going to waste all that time.
You'll lose money. You won't win.
So,
with that being said, you guys have now understood, or everyone understands the difference between the two mega, companies out there. How do you? So Brandon and I know how we generate business, right? How do you generate business as a new agent, Cam? What are you doing? Where are you going? Where are you drinking at? Where's the local watering hole? Are you going to strip clubs? You going to car shows?
No, I mean, I did learn.
Hey, some of those ladies, those $10.99, baby, they make money.
I learned a lot from my.
Don't discriminate.
I didn't even finish.
I died.
I learned a lot from my mentor, you, and I learned that I didn't want to find business at strip clubs. But
you guys tested it.
No, I'm kidding.
We're not a license in Vegas, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't do much.
Yet.
You can only go up to Anaheim so much. But
how do you know? How do you know that?
Fritz is closed.
$2 steak on Tuesdays.
Wow. Is it really?
I'm glad I'm young enough to not know what that is. But no, so what I do to get business is I just continue to ask questions. Are you buying or selling? Are people in the market? But also, I don't hard sell anybody because that doesn't work, especially at my age too, I think. Just me pushing someone to sell, they're just going to be like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
It's easier to...
It doesn't work with homes that well either.
It's easier to stiff arm someone away when they're kind of like that. Whereas I don't really kill anyone with kindness, but I'm just honest and direct. And if your situation is better to stay put where you are, that's what I'll tell you. I'll say, no, let's look in 4 months or this, that. Where most realtors are never going to be able to be that honest with you. Mm-hmm. And that's because I generally believe in the quality of the business you do will come back to you. What you put out in this world is what you receive. And in real estate, it's not all the time. That's not the case all the time. I recently had plenty of people that have told me I'm their agent, blah, blah, blah. I followed up with them plenty. And then randomly, oh, I'm sorry, dude, my wife was working with an agent, didn't realize that. I'm like, and then guess what? How do you deal with that?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that, right? It happens for lenders too.
All the time. We don't have any contracts either.
Do you take the high road or not? So, but for me to continue on what you asked.
Tequila.
Yeah, tequila.
That's
yeah.
Tequila and strip clubs apparently.
People forget that you brought it up. I mean, you're the connoisseur.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just making friends. I remember when I officially got licensed, I said if I get invited anywhere, I have to put my work hat on. I'm not going everywhere asking everybody about what they're doing with their life.
But you're keeping it in mind, like.
But I'm a very extroverted guy. I talk to everybody anyway, and like you and I were talking about earlier, how your son's a hockey stat.
Yeah.
If we meet another time, and let's say you're not a lender, blah blah blah, and we're still talking, and you're just like, yeah, dude, this housing market's crazy. I don't know if I can afford anything. I'm like, I'm actually an agent, dude. Like, obviously, you try and make them aware that you're in real estate a little bit before that. But if you cement yourself as a good person, which you have to genuinely be, because people
do,
especially at the price range.
You can't just be a dick and just force people into doing things.
No, because
I've done it every now and again. It's also backfired.
Every now and again, exactly, backfired. You recently had someone that did not work with you, right?
The guy that threatened to kill me, or the other guy.
The other guy.
Both of them, right?
I mean,
sound like stories.
But that's also, that's not to your full fault. But at the end of the day, the relationship obviously wasn't tight enough there.
The one thing I can say is when you get a little bit more into the upper echelons, and that's not as much learning. It's more or less you have to educate. Well, when I say learning, like it's not their first purchase, right? So they understand how to buy something. They understand, what process they have to go through. It's more or less pushing them to the finish line, right? And sometimes when you've pushed these people for, let's say, a month at a time, 2 months at a time, and they continuously ask you the same questions, like, how do I make an offer? And you're like, you show me you have money, and then I write, it's called a purchase contract, right? This is the first time I said this to this guy. Then a week goes by. I call him. I have subtle ways of touch points, right? I call him. I go, hey, just want to let you know, man. This is for a commercial property, by the way.
Nothing about you is
just
subtle.
want to let you know, man. Just want to let you know. Spoke with the landlord. They are entertaining another offer. So if this is something we're going to move on, we need to move on now. Hey, man, I really appreciate it. So how do we submit an offer? Again, second time now. Provide me with proof of funds to show you can buy the property. Then we submit the offer. So this shit goes on and on for like another 2 months, and it got to the point where I literally had to reach out and be like, hey, listen, if you're not serious, stop wasting my effing time. And I think, obviously...
That's always a great thing to say to a client that's gonna purchase a high multi-million-dollar range.
It doesn't sound like it.
Yeah,
it's not... it's very brash, and obviously, I am being fictitious. I didn't use those exact words. I phrased it in a softer tonality, but it came from a place of like, get your shit together.
Urgency.
You're going to
Urgency.
lose the property.
Yeah,
and there are some people in business that respect that, right? I do have plenty of clients that I am that way with them, and they work very well with me. I have other clients where I have to hold their hand the entire process and on to the next and on to the next. So you have to be a chameleon, as we've talked about in other episodes, and adjust yourself to the situation at hand. But there are certain clients that merit that because they don't know they don't know any other way, and that's how they're being treated by their friends and their advisors. And so you just have to step in and be like, dude, do you want the fucking building or not? If you don't want it, get out of here. Like, we're done here. I'm not representing you because you've wasted 2 months of my time.
And I
think that's most of the business.
He's seen this happen. I mean, it's just,
for sure.
and he agrees with me. He's like, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, no.
There's no way to go around it.
In your case, what you're speaking about right now, when someone's literally asked you, how do we submit an offer?
5 or 6 times, yeah.
In the time span of a month, you have to push. Definitely, you have to push hard.
And that's hard selling. That's education and hard selling.
That's not even hard selling. That's just you. If someone's saying they want to write an offer, that's you showing them the way. That's just you giving them the nudge.
You can lead a horse to water.
They're opening the door for you. And they're opening the door for you, inviting you in to like explain to them what to do.
Right.
So what do? Do you close the door and say, yeah, well, you're right. I mean, I've done things where I've literally explained the same thing over and over and over and over again for 6 months and gotten no results, and then on the 7th month they finally come through. Yeah. And I still am able to do that, but I spend very minimal time.
You can tell when someone's just bullshitting or not.
For sure.
You can tell.
Yeah.
Usually.
Absolutely.
So
I agree.
I think, what are we coming to? What do we got time? 43 minutes.
We absolutely destroyed the time on there.
Yeah. So we're gonna sign off for episode 11.
Yeah.
Brandon, it's always a pleasure.
Always.
Cam, you really gave us some insight into how you do business, and
I'm glad I could come to your therapy session, bro.
I do feel enlightened after you've ended.
He always feels better.
Is there anything
Gets a lot off his chest.
Is there anything you want to say before we kick you off and never bring you back?
One thing I want to say is that for all the agents out there that think they don't need a higher form of education, I would disagree, because as Max was talking about just now, when it comes to pushing buyers and whatnot and this and that, you have to give people nudges. You have to incentivize them. One of my favorite classes that I learned the most from in school was it was a communications class, and it was argumentative debate and rhetoric. Ooh. And it shows you how to frame situations differently to win arguments, and without even people knowing you're winning, or just to be on the A side. You cannot be a politician without fully understanding how to
professionals, frame
things and
get people to agree with you.
Yeah, because everyone's gonna think differently. You could say this is a great investment property, and someone might hate that. Whereas you could say, oh, this is all right, and that it all depends. But so that's my little 2 cents at the end. More knowledge is always better knowledge. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate you guys having me on. And I'll definitely be back to make sure Max isn't blowing a gasket.
Is in line.
Make sure he's
It's nice having help sometimes. Thank you.
Yeah, Brandon, I can see in your eyes. It hurts. But
it hurts. It hurts.
My eyes are red behind me.
Red from what?
That I'm aggressively hungover from the strip club last night.
Aggressively.
Violent.
We got dinner last night, so I guess you kept going.
All right. Yeah.
Signing off.